The issue of the origin of life on Earth, particularly how the first cell emerged, is one of the greatest mysteries humanity has faced. With the advancement of science, scientists have proposed many theories that attempt to explain this phenomenon, and opinions have varied between those who believe in the idea of chance and random chemical interactions, and those who see life as the product of intelligent design. In this video, we will organize the scientific theories according to their proponents among atheist scientists, then present the responses from believing scientists, and finally add the Islamic perspective on the origin of life, based on the Quran, Sunnah, and reason. First, the scientific theory. The RNA world hypothesis. This theory suggests that life began with ribose nucleic acid, RNA, molecules before the emergence of DNA and proteins. RNA can store genetic information and act as an enzyme to catalyze chemical reactions. Richard Dawkins, an evolutionary biologist, supports this theory. In his book The Blind Watchmaker, he discusses how random natural processes could produce the complexity of life over millions of years. On the other hand, Dr. Stephen Meyer, in his book Signature in the Cell, argues that while the RNA world hypothesis provides a plausible explanation for how genetic information might have been stored in the early stages of life, it does not explain the immense complexity found in modern cells. The genetic information encoded in DNA requires a high level of organization that cannot be explained by random chance. In contrast, the Quran indicates that life began through direct creation by God, and Allah has created every moving creature from water. This verse aligns with scientific discoveries that confirm water is essential for life, but also suggests that God is the creator who designed this complex system. Rational reflection on the origin of the cell shows that the complexity of life, even in its simplest forms, is difficult to attribute solely to chance. The integrated system found in DNA and RNA within the cell points to an intentional design.
Second, the scientific theory. The Miller's experiment in 1953, Stanley Miller and Harold Dewey simulated the conditions of the early Earth in the lab and succeeded in producing some amino acids, which are the building blocks of proteins. By mixing certain gases and passing electrical sparks to mimic lightning. Lawrence Krauss, a physicist and cosmologist, in his book A Universe from Nothing, supports the idea that life could have originated through random chemical interactions in a primordial environment. He argues that the universe and life could appear spontaneously through physical laws. However, Dr. Michael Behe in his book Darwin's Black Box points out that the Miller's experiment was extremely limited and that random chemical interactions cannot explain the emergence of complex systems, such as the bacterial flagellum or cellular metabolism. In contrast, the Quran presents a different view of the origin of life, affirming that God is the direct creator. Indeed, we created man from a drop of mixed fluid, nutfah. Surah Al-Insan 76:2, this indicates that God created humans from simple materials but with precise design. Rational reflection on the origin of the cell reveals that it is difficult to imagine how random chemical interactions alone could lead to the emergence of complex living systems. Additionally, the amino acids produced in the Miller's experiment did not reach the level of organization seen in living cells. Third, the panspermia hypothesis. The panspermia hypothesis suggests that life might have originated in outer space and was brought to Earth via meteorites or comets. Francis Crick, one of the discoverers of the structure of DNA, was a proponent of panspermia. In his attempt to explain the origin of life, he suggested that life might have been transferred to Earth from other planets, especially due to the difficulty of explaining the emergence of life solely through random chemical interactions on Earth. Stephen Meyer criticizes this hypothesis in Signature in the Cell, pointing out that the idea of life being transferred from space does not solve the problem of the origin of life, but merely postpones it. In Islam, the origin of life is attributed to direct creation by God, and there is no indication that life originated anywhere other than Earth. God says, and of his signs is that he created you from dust. Surah Ar-Rum 30:20. This indicates that humans and life originated from the Earth itself. Rational reflection on the origin of the cell shows that the panspermia hypothesis does not provide a definitive solution, but rather complicates the issue. If it is challenging to explain the origin of the cell on Earth, how can it be explained elsewhere? Fourth, the theory of natural selection and evolution. The theory of evolution by natural selection, put forward by Charles Darwin, attempts to explain biological diversity and the complexity of living organisms as the result of natural processes and genetic mutations over millions of years. Richard Dawkins and Jerry Coyne are among the most prominent proponents of the theory of evolution. In his book The Blind Watchmaker, Dawkins argues that random natural processes, such as genetic mutations, can lead to the complexity of living organisms over time. However, Dr. Michael Behe, in his book Darwin's Black Box, points to the existence of complex biological systems that cannot be explained by natural selection alone, such as the bacterial flagellum, which requires all its parts to function properly. On the other hand, the Quran affirms that God is the creator who designed everything with precision, the work of Allah, who has perfected everything. Surah An-Naml 27:88. This suggests that God created living beings with careful planning, not through random processes. Rational reflection on the origin of the cell shows that the idea that chance alone could produce the immense complexity found in living organisms seems unconvincing. The complexity in the living cell, with its integrated systems of genetic information and biochemical mechanisms, points to intelligent design. In conclusion, despite scientists' attempts to explain the origin of the first cell through various scientific theories, this mystery remains unresolved. Scientific theories offer some explanations for how the cell might have originated, but they lack the full evidence needed to account for the immense complexity found in the first living cells. In contrast, Islam provides a comprehensive and integrated view of the origin of life, based on the belief that God is the creator and sustainer of everything. Reflecting on the complexity of the cell and its systems leads to the conclusion that life is not the product of chance, but the result of wise divine design.
Make us among those who learn and act upon their knowledge, so that our knowledge becomes a light that illuminates our path in this world and the hereafter. And peace and mercy of Allah be upon you.